Hey y'all, Horrorflick Chicks here. I'm
Hi.
Angie, Sonia, and Sandra. How y'all doing?
Hi, what's up? We're good.
Good to see you and very lovely backgrounds. Unfortunately, I didn't get my act together, as you can see. So today's episode is going to be about Cabinet of Curiosities, the one and only Guillermo del Toro's series on Netflix, and we're gonna do episodes 3 and 4, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yay. So episode 3 was the autopsy, directed by David Pryor and written by David Guyer. Let me just start off that I was really excited about this one because one of my favorite actors, F. Murray Abraham, was going to be in it. I saw was in it and I was like so stoked because this man, he's now well into his 70s, but he's done so many things, but one of the most amazing things that he's done as a, student of music was play in Amadeus as Mozart's arch nemesis. Is that? Yeah, arch nemesis, Salieri, who, and he did like such an amazing job. I'm pretty sure he won Oscars at some point, if not for this movie.
We should look that up.
Yes. Anyway, so he's a great actor, really love him. I was really stoked to see this. And so it starts off like I got this feeling when it first started off that it was just kind of like a little bit classy in a sense because he's walking around, well, we first see a coal mine and these men working very hard and, in this coal mine. And suddenly there's coal miners that are going missing. Right. And so at some point, out of the darkness, here comes F. Murray Abraham, who turns out to be a medical examiner and headed to the precinct to work with the sheriff there, who happens to be like a long time buddy of his.
Yeah.
And
they worked together before.
Yeah. And the sheriff, is the actor who plays the sheriff, is Glenn Turman, who I don't know who's watching us, but I grew up in a different world time of the early 90s when I literally thought, when I went to college, it was going to be like a different world. And Glenn Turman was one of the professors there and also like
Colonel Taylor.
Yes, a colonel. And he was hilarious back then. And I'm really excited to see, he's also in his 70s and doing some really great work. So whoever cast this, thank you. This is like,
I really liked the casting in this too. It was really good. I thought they were great.
Yeah. And so, okay, so F. Murray Abraham.
Oh, wait, and by the way, I didn't even know who was in it because I didn't look it up before. I just
me either.
I love it. I
love pretty cool.
I love when I did only see that F. Murray Abraham was in it. Somehow I caught it somewhere. And then I was like really stoked for it. But I have to say that Glenn Turman was a very nice surprise for me. And by the way, you know how like you realize you start watching something and then you start looking it up and you're like, wait a minute, like what else was he in and what else did he do and who was he married to and where did he grow up?
Oh yeah.
So it turned out that actually a nice surprise for me, he went to Performing Arts High School, which was the same high school I went to in back in the 90s. But yes, so he's also alumni of that school. And then I was like, oh, he's from New York. And he was married to Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Anyway,
I read that before.
I'm sure I knew this at some point in time, but it's interesting.
I was gonna say he married Jaleesa, but
he married Jaleesa. That was so sweet, you guys. Okay, this is not about different world. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe we should do one of those. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, so he meets his friend, his old sheriff friend, and says, "Hey, I'm gonna do work on this. Like, what's been going on?" So they go into the woods. They find this really ratchet looking uh corpse that's kind of like, I don't know, got lots of bugs in
Well,
it.
yeah,
And by the
he
way,
starts talking about this crazy case that he has that, you know, he needs help with, and that's why he called him in to help him with it.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very strange. Like you said, a weird, like crazy looking corpse they found in the woods, and
Yeah. So it was
and it comes to be involved with, like you said in the beginning, Angie, like all those coal miners that have been missing, and you know, apparently this was one of the coal miners, and then you know it keeps going from there. It's a very good story.
Strange case.
yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys felt this, but it was giving me a little bit X-Files almost. Like
Yeah,
just
you
kind of
know,
like
yes,
the way it was filmed.
yeah.
So then they find this body there, and then they still can't figure it out. In between, you see like the town's like coal miners going into bars and like, you know, having a good time despite like a few people of their people have been going missing. And at one point, one of the coal miners sits at the bar and looks over and sees one of his old colleagues who didn't show up for work at some
Who had
point.
gotten, yeah, he had gone missing a while back, and he
And he's
shows
like,
up,
"Where
and
have
he's
you
saying,
been?"
and then he said, no, you mistake me for somebody else. But you know, then you know, after a little while you realize that, all right, there's something going on with this guy. He's not, he looks like the friend of this guy, but now he's somebody else. And the whole story that about the other guy that was lost, that he went into the woods one day to see a meteor shower and he was never seen again.
Right,
So
right.
after that, it's like, oh, okay, well, you realize something has to do with that meteor shower, that is either not just this guy, but maybe other miners that have disappeared or died, that this is involving all of them. So the
Right.
story keeps like kind of unraveling a little bit, but it's still mysterious. Like you're still not sure what's going on. You know, I kind of felt early on the vibe of like something to do with aliens,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
or some other being.
Right.
You know, at some point, the sheriff takes his friend to where the bodies are, and he agrees to examine them and try and help his friend out. And he keeps finding these weird things with the bodies.
Yeah.
And yeah, at some point, one of the bodies, I guess you could say, comes back to life, but not really.
Yeah, it just animates itself.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it starts speaking, and there is where we start finding out what this thing is and how it's been able to you know, change bodies and basically survive here, because it's not from here. He says he's a traveler, you know, that goes along with the meteors and the alien kind of concept, the traveler. And he basically needs the flesh, or the blood at least, of the humans to like survive or keep going.
Right. So it's traveled from somewhere, right?
Yes.
And then it keeps moving from body to body. So it takes
drains the bodies of blood.
It takes the energies, the body, the fluids and everything of each body in order to survive. But while the examiner is, you know, checking one of them out, he's like literally having a conversation with it. And what is still happening in the background is that that he usually records while he's like doing an autopsy. So
I think that's a normal thing for any medical examiner.
right. So he
Mhm.
explains, he's explaining the whole time and he's like recording it. And he's telling this thing like, well, I'm really glad that I'm recording all of this. And now my friend is going to come and he's going to know that, you know, what you are. So
Right.
essentially,
And he basically
like,
sabotaged his own body. So when
Right.
the alien,
That's what we have. Yeah, right. So we get
Yeah.
to that.
He-
The alien.
his
You know.
his theme, or his not his theme, his thought or his plan was to take over uh Carl, I think that's his name, Carl, the
yes,
medical examiner.
Yeah.
To take over his body. And he has cancer. So apparently this is something enticing for the alien. Because he at one point he said, I smell your cancer.
smells
It smells
delicious.
Yeah. So he's
Strange a little bit. They because I feel like in a maybe in another movie somewhere, something like this would be like
I know what you mean.
they wouldn't want the diseased body.
Right.
So I thought
Yeah, that is strange.
it was strange how they kind of turned that around in this
Well, he
one.
does say at one point that let me take over and I'll take away the cancer for you. It won't,
Right.
but it won't be him anymore. It's gonna be this
Right.
being, right? So you know, he's trying to he's explaining to him pretty much what he's gonna do. All the while he's basically giving himself an autopsy, which I thought it was like cool. I love that part. I used to love back in the day, HBO used to do that autopsy show. That used to be my favorite. I love that. I love that show.
Of course, because you're weird.
And it was so cool. It was so cool. He was giving him and all the while he was explaining to him what his plan was. And you know, Carl's a little ahead of this thing. And yeah, he basically turned the tables on him at the end. This thing that came out of him was gross.
Yeah.
The thing that crawled out of the body, that the actual thing that controlled the body, was so creepy. It was really cool though. And apparently it's blind and deaf, so it uses the body that it gets in to see and hear. But before he was able to get in, he basically slit his throat so the body will start bleeding out slowly. He stuck a scalpel in both ears and his eyes, like while he was alive, because come on, like that is
crazy.
And as soon as the thing got in him and he can communicate with him on some level in his brain.
Right.
And
that was pretty dope.
So he basically was like, guess what? You're not going to be able to use me the way you want to. And the thing that you didn't realize is that I've been recording this whole time. So my friend is going to know, and everybody's going to know what you are and what you did. And, you know, I guess basically saying that you're not going to be a secret, because I think they were coming here kind of trying to do this on the low, under the radar. But he's like, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So it was like a big, like, gotcha at the end. So I like that.
It was really great. Yeah.
Really, really
and then
good.
the sheriff comes in and sees him on the floor, turns him over. There's a message on his chest in blood. And that's the end of it. It's great.
It was good.
It was a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great story.
Good story.
So I guess we can now talk about.
Yeah, let's go into episode 4. Episode 4, The Outside. This one, I like this one a lot.
The director for this one was Anna Lily Amanpour.
Yeah, she is Iranian, I believe, Iranian British. So I was really actually very happy to see a woman director for this one.
Well, it was fitting. It's like a woman's story.
Yeah.
You know, so it's fitting that a woman directed it. So it was pretty cool. So basically the plot of this one was this woman's very awkward, very, awkward looking, plain, and wanted to fit in with the, I don't want to say,
Crowd.
I don't want to, what?
With her coworkers.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of a word. I was gonna say glamorous, but not glamorous. Just I guess they're like,
Okay,
if they were in, if this was a high school setting, they would be probably like the popular girls.
right.
That's
Right.
kind of
You
how
know-
and she was like the kind of like the outcast, the nerd kind of.
Yeah.
And she was
You
trying
know
to,
what it kind of reminded me of? The women that she was trying to impress, and like the vibe of the movie is kind of like set in the 80s. So
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of like the women in like Edward Scissorhands, like the Community.
oh,
And
like the,
like
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of those women, those types of women, like, very like, 80s, like when the 80s were like high glam, like,
Yeah.
impress your friends and do
Right.
whatever it takes and blah, blah, blah. So
Mhm.
that's what it felt like to me. And then there's this awkward woman who watches TV, is getting influenced by the media and like these infomercials, right? And so,
I feel bad. I felt bad for her.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
It was kind of sad, but I was like, she had stuff going for her. So it's not like she was alone, like she was married and her husband wasn't like a dick. Like
seemed-
he was
No, he was a nice guy.
a nice
I
guy.
have to say that at first I wasn't sure if he was nice or
Me
not,
too.
or if he was like kind of indifferent.
Me
Like I was
too.
like, what is wrong with this man? Like she tells him things and he's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll be home whenever. Oh yeah, I'll see you
Right.
later. But it
I
wasn't
wasn't
until
sure
later that
either.
you realize he's a really loving husband who
Yeah.
doesn't.
And he
And
would
he really,
tell her,
like,
you don't
he
need
really-
to change. You don't need to change
Right.
yourself. You're fine. Like, don't worry about the other people, look like or whatever. So I was like, oh, at least she has a good person around her, that loves her. Obviously, it seems like he loves her.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was nice. And it's not like those women at the job like really ignored her. Like she wasn't necessarily in the clique.
I mean, I feel like they did ignore her.
Well, she wasn't necessarily in the clique, but she wasn't like even for that holiday party thing at the lady's house, they invited her
Yeah.
and they brought, so it's not like it was they like looked their nose down at her. Even at that party, they were talking amongst themselves a lot, but they weren't like dismissing her. They would, she was just on kind of on the outside by herself because she was,
Yeah.
I think she
So-
felt kind of awkward, but I
So
don't
just
think they were
going
doing
back,
it.
it was a party for like during a holiday party. So
This is
like
like
there
a
was
Secret
like
Santa.
so there was a Secret Santa, and so she gets a name. And what I love about this, I love the awkwardness of this woman. I don't know, maybe I see myself in her a little bit. But although I don't do taxidermy, her idea, I just want to make it clear. I may clone my cat one day, but
No.
Oh,
so I mean she's just super awkward, and like she doesn't even go out to a store and get like a regular gift. She is a hunter. She hunts.
she shot a duck,
She shot a duck
skinned it,
and
and
she
gutted it.
skinned it and gutted it
And stuffed it.
stuffed it. She's a taxidermist, so like she did that for fun, and we watch what she's doing, and she puts it in a big lovely box and gives it to her her person. And this woman, like very glamorous, opens it up and is like, wow, that's a big box, opens it up and sees this duck. And then she's like so proud of her work. She's like, this is how I did it. Like
Yeah.
and I just think she's
Meanwhile,
great.
meanwhile, all the ladies were kind of like, that's very strange, and
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is.
But right before all this, Gina, who is the lady that owns the house, who was the one that Stacy, that's the awkward girl, picked in the Secret Santa, gave her the duck. She gives everybody this box, and it's this cream, this supposedly
It's Aloe Glow. It's
Aloe
Aloe
Glow.
Glow.
Yeah.
And when I saw the name, I was laughing so hard thinking about
Soul
is that-
Glow?
no, not So Glow actually, but that's funny. No, I was thinking about how J-Lo has skincare now. And
okay.
I'm like, I wonder if it's called Aloe Glow. Anyway, sorry. So she go ahead. So, finish.
So anyway, apparently this lotion is like an all over lotion, and it's supposed to make, you know, your skin firm and your skin like supple and youthful.
Anti-aging, like in an instant.
Anti-aging, yeah. And it's you supposedly you can use it everywhere, in your face, on your hands, on your arms, on your legs, everywhere. And so everybody, of course, everybody opens it. They're so, because apparently it's this very expensive lotion that you can't really get everywhere. I don't know.
But maybe most people can't buy it or whatever because it's
People
too
can't buy
expensive.
it. Right.
Right.
But the ladies are also excited, and they immediately start opening it and you know, using it on their hands and to go and so of course Stacy the same, and she does it and she starts putting it on his face, and then everybody.
By the way, I thought it was kind of it was like a little bit cringy when they were putting the cream on. You could hear like it was
like the little,
like when, you know, if you put too much cream or something on your hands and you go, you hear that noise. I was like, and they kept like zooming into the hands like this.
Yeah.
I was like slathering the cream on like that.
So at some point, after a little while, one of the women start to notice that, Stacy, your face is really getting red. And then it seems like the lotion maybe for her doesn't, like she's allergic to it because it made her skin all red and blotchy. But at some point, she's sitting late at night watching an infomercial, and it's an infomercial about this Aloe Glow. And all of a sudden, the person in the infomercial starts talking to her, directly to her, calling her by name and saying certain things that, of course, is happening to her.
And she's like, I think I'm allergic. And the infomercial dude is like talking directly to her, and he's like, no, it's working. Put more on.
Yes, encouraging her. You should put more. The more you use it, the better it works. And she said her skin was itchy, then that means it's working. So you have to keep
Meanwhile,
using
the poor husband is trying to convince her that she is not looking well.
Yeah.
And she needs to stop using this stuff, and she doesn't need it. Sweet guy, you're perfect the way you are, all of that. And she doesn't listen to him. She's like, no, the infomercial told me that.
She's so obsessed with like fitting in and like, I guess, looking better, that it's just in her head, and she keeps doing it. And then she orders this big case of it. It's like 30 bottles of it, or 30 little, and then, you know, then just weird shit starts happening. Like they start opening by themselves, and the liquid, the stuff starts squeezing out everywhere.
Yeah.
And at some point it creates a her. It's like her, kind of, I guess. Or the her she wants to be, but it's just
I thought it was kind of like a pod person.
Yeah, right? That's what kind of the feeling. Yeah, like a pod person. You're right.
That's how I like saw it when it came out.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And it was making out with her.
Yeah, she was making out with it.
She's making out with it.
Maybe that's what you're supposed to do to make it work. I don't know. Well, it worked.
It worked, yeah.
But then the thing went into the tub, and and it was like a big tub full of this Aloe Glow, and she just sat in it.
Yes. Oh, by the way, like the way that it was moving reminded me of like the Blob. It was cool how
it was blobbish. Yeah, for sure.
Cool
it was very blob-like.
How this director took like bits and pieces of, like, you know, I don't know, like these classic horror movies, and kind of.
It was very well, like you said. The episode, the autopsy, the last episode was X-Files. This was also like sci-fi-ish.
Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally into it. Yeah.
So
that tub thing was crazy.
Yeah, but she came out and then all the stuff like kind of peeled off of her and all the blotchy skin got away. It even corrected her like lazy eye. You saw
Yeah.
that? Her eye was
Yes.
Wait, who?
Hi, her lazy eye. Aw.
and then at the end she became
One of the
another
ladies.
Well,
like
we're glossing over something that happened with the husband.
Oh,
yes,
that's right.
we cannot gloss over that. I wore my little knife.
Yeah, he's telling her, he keeps telling her like, what are you doing? You're out of control, and all this stuff. And she's just in her head about being this other person, and she doesn't want to be who she is. She doesn't like who she is, and she wants to change. And he's not on board, basically. And he gets,
Maybe
his
don't give it all
comeuppance.
away. We'll have
won't
you
give-
guys
okay,
watch it and
Well, I think people have seen it. It's
No, I know, but
you know,
still, you
but
never know.
he gets his comeuppance, and I think it's she's so crazed with wanting to be.
Which is sad because he's not
Bad
wasn't a bad
guy.
guy.
I felt bad.
He's not a bad guy. I feel really bad for the dude.
Yeah, I felt bad.
Even though like he was a cop and everything.
Yeah.
I actually
So I don't know how
felt bad for
I don't know how
him.
they're gonna explain that later on, because he can't just disappear.
Right.
But whatever. That's for them to figure out. Anyway. Yeah, she turns into this, clone, like, of the Stepford wife clone type
Yeah, they're like Stepford wives, yes.
thing.
Okay, so before we close out, I just wanted to go back to, so I want to do like skulls. So out of 5 skulls, 5 being the best, episode 4, The Outside. Let's do it together. How about that on our one hand?
Out of 5?
Out of 5 skulls, what would you rate this? 1, 2, 3. Really? 4? I know, I liked it. It was so
I liked
good.
it too.
It was very good. Did we do this for the episode 3 autopsy? I think we might have to go back.
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing.
Oh,
No, she said for 4. She said for 4.
no, I said for 4. Okay, well, let's do 4 again. Let's do 4 again.
Okay.
Let's do 4 again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's better. I was like, what? Episode. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go backwards because we forgot to. Episode 3, the autopsy. Out of 5 skulls, what would you give it? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I actually I was like, while I was doing this, I was like, wait, how am I supposed to do 3.5?
I know.
You have to put like
You have to go like this.
3.5, like that.
Or maybe next time we'll just do it on a piece of paper and 1, 2, 3. We'll do that. How's that? Okay, well, this was fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was good. I love this series.
Yeah, I mean, every episode brings so much fun and new and different ideas. And I love, I love the anthology. I love a short horror, and I love checking out new directors that I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, so far they're all the 1 through 4 have been really good. I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So next episode will be on episodes 5 and 6 of Cabinet of Curiosities. So make sure you check us out on that one. Thank you guys for joining us once again on the Horror Flick Chicks podcast. As always, you can find our videos on our YouTube channel, and we will be streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. So make sure you subscribe and check us out and leave comments and let us know what you think. And also, you can always find us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in again. See
Until
you
next time.
soon. Bye.
Peace, love, and horror.